For David Lat, watching his 2-year-old boy play is a blessing he nearly lost.
It's just one of the things you just take for granted until you have something like this.
A second chance of sorts for the 44-year-old attorney. After COVID-19 left him on a ventilator for 6 days, his life teetering on the brink of death, he's now reemerging. Our president has called this a war. And so as one of the people to fall early in that war and then get back up, as they say in the military, welcome home.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be back.
A return, he says, that he owes to the machine that helped him breathe when he couldn't, a ventilator.
I wouldn't be here if I wasn't able to be connected to that life-saving device. It's not perfect. A lot of people don't survive, but oh gosh, I mean, it's an amazing device, and we need more of them.
But as the country approaches the predicted apex of the coronavirus pandemic,
the next week is going to be our Pearl Harbor moment. It's going to be our 9/11 moment.
Many are sounding the alarm about the prospect of running out of the devices.
We have about 6 days of ventilators in our stockpile.
We're looking everywhere and anywhere across the world to get ventilators.
We need more ventilators. There are a lot of people dying. The virus is everywhere.
It was less than a month ago when the 2-time New York Marathon runner began feeling some of the symptoms of COVID-19, fatigue and losing his sense of taste.
I didn't really think it was coronavirus. I kind of thought, oh, it's probably just cold or flu or something. But then over the next few days, the symptoms got worse.
Then came the fever, the chills, the aches. And when he began feeling shortness of breath on March 15th, he headed to the ER, but did not get tested for COVID-19.
They told me, well, we can't give it to you because, as you know, the CDC guidelines are pretty strict, and we just didn't have enough tests. They essentially sent me home.
When his symptoms worsened the following day, barely able to walk or stand, he was admitted to the hospital. But a few days later, a harrowing turn, developing acute respiratory distress syndrome.
I don't think I realized how bad I had it. I was just in my hospital bed on this Friday night, and my lungs were filling with fluid. My oxygen levels were dropping.
When it became impossible for him to breathe, doctors turned to a ventilator for help.
The scariest moment was actually the intubation. When they were giving me anesthesia to put me to sleep so they could put a tube in my mouth that would enable me to breathe. I just remember thinking that I might die. When I was on that table and they were injecting me with the anesthesia, I just thought, no, I don't want to go.
Through it all, the hospital prohibiting any visitors. His husband, Zach, forced to wait for news back at home. In that moment, you thought your husband might die?
Yes. God forbid, without David in it, raising a 2.5-year-old as a single father. Because I was in our apartment, and so I just kept looking around, and of course everything reminded me of David.
The decision to put him on a ventilator, David says, saved his life. Dr. Luke O'Donnell oversaw his care.
A ventilator was, key to probably his recovery. I think most people, we wouldn't have made that decision lightly. Putting someone on a ventilator is a decision that we all think about. And so he was definitely someone who needed it.
Ventilators are not a cure-all, but David is living proof that they can keep someone alive.
For those states and hospitals in short supply, their pleas answered, at least in part. From Oregon, Governor Kate Brown sending 140 ventilators to New York.
If any of the ventilators we send can be used to save one life, then it's worth it.
Governor Cuomo also announcing the shipment from the Chinese government of 1,000 donated ventilators to his state.
I mean, everyone over here is COVID at this point.
In this Brooklyn hospital, Dr. John Marshall, chair of emergency medicine, says they get a new patient every 14 minutes.
We've moved our entire triage area outside. It gave us additional space inside to see patients and also gave us the opportunity to identify whether a patient should go to the hot zone, whether they should go to the cold zone.
ABC News got rare access inside the Maimonides Medical Center.
Now, we're working on the assumption that almost every patient has corona at this point. Pretty much the entire emergency department's a hot zone.
He spent time as a medic in Afghanistan, but says this virus has taken a toll like nothing he's experienced.
You're seeing what feels like a whole emergency department environment that's almost arranged around isolation. Society's never going to be exactly the same as it was.
In Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Nurse Morgan Babin at Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center is increasingly more worried about their ventilator supply.
So there's like 50 COVID patients that are requiring vents right now, and we have 81 confirmed positives at our hospital in Baton Rouge. Hopefully we don't run out.
Dr. Christopher B. Thomas is a doctor at her hospital and shares her concern.
Patients that are positive or under investigation is around 200. 40% of those patients are indeed on ventilators.
His fellow doctor, Catherine O'Neill, adds that in terms of supplies, their hospital is one of the lucky ones, at least for now.
We normally have about 90 ICU beds. We're at 100 now, so we are at our max ICU capacity on a normal day. And we can flex up to 20 more, but that will definitely be something that we've not seen before. And so it's more about a marathon, right?
For lay people like myself, in this fight against COVID-19, how vital are ventilators?
It's absolutely essential for me to have them. But almost as essential as that is for the lay people to understand that being at home, washing your hands, and at this point, essentially staying at home are just as critical. And if they don't stay home, then the amount of ventilators I need will go up. You now are a healthcare provider.
In this fight, we all have a job. For Dr. Thomas, a father of two, this virus became an opportunity to teach his children what he calls their greatest lesson.
What I've told them is there's always a time in each of our lives where you need to be kind. And just like we told you to always be kind to other children, it's important for me to be kind to everyone I signed up to take care of.
Meanwhile, this virus continuing to ravage, taking the lives of too many too soon. In the U.S., the death toll has now risen to over 10,000. There is Francis Frank Bacabella III of New Jersey, who was the first TSA agent on record to die from the disease. Detective Marilou Armour in Santa Rosa, California. Sandra Santos Vizcaino, the first school teacher in New York City to die. And Mary Beth Papetti, registered nurse and the beloved aunt of Nightline's executive producer, Steve Baker. But for all the good souls lost, hearts broken, Dr. O'Neill reminds us, science and statistics tell us, there will be more. Our nation passed a grim marker today. More than 10,000 people in our country have died from COVID-19. But those are 10,000 individual stories, 10,000 different families.
Right. The 10,000 doesn't bother me as much as the bother that it's going to get so much worse than that when all of these small towns start seeing their peak at the same time, and we're already as full as we can get. If I had to guess, we're going to look at 10,000 and we're going to wish that we could go back to that day.
For David Lat, as he moves forward, it's been prayer that he's leaned on.
I will admit, we should always be praying, but I have to admit I've prayed a lot more in these past few weeks than usual.
In times like these, the soul often heals faster than the body. What's the road to recovery look like for you now that you're home?
Because one of the things about the ventilator is when it's working and you're on it, it's breathing for you. And so your lungs are almost forgetting how to breathe. And so I get very short of breath. I'll walk across a room, I'll be panting, my heart rate will go over 100. It's tough. You just have to get used to it.
I might imagine that there may be some families watching tonight who are right now in the space that your family was in. What might you say to them?
I hear from a lot of people on Twitter, for instance, who have loved ones that are on ventilators. And I tell them, look, hang in there, be hopeful. I'm living proof that these devices work and they save lives. And there are no guarantees, but be strong, be hopeful.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.